Hi Arrows, I'm Kashawn and you are watching The Book Archer. For today's video, I'm going to be talking about my all-time favorite young adult contemporary books. I don't think I have ever in the history of this channel done a video on my all-time favorite anything. I am naturally very indecisive, but I cannot wait to get into these books. The majority of these y'all have heard me talk about on my channel over and over and over and over and over again. So this is kind of just like the official video dedication and why I love them. I don't know how long this is going to be, so let me go ahead and jump right into it. The very first book I want to talk about is Amy and Rodgers' Epic Detour by Morgan Matson. It's no secret that I am a huge fan of Morgan Matson's work. This is the first book that I ever read by Morgan Matson, which is what started my love for her. Amy and Rodgers' Epic Detour follows Amy and Roger, Amy being the main character, who has to take this cross-country trip from California to Connecticut. This is following the death of her father, who passed away in a car accident. Therefore, Amy is having some issues being able to make this drive. Roger is a family friend that she doesn't really know personally, but knows through her mom. He is going to drive Amy across the country because he's moving across country as well. As you find out throughout this road trip, they both have a lot of things to address that kind of start to come into play during the road trip. So there are a lot of detours. You get to see a lot of amazing places in America, but you also get to see this emotional journey with two of the main characters. I absolutely loved this novel while I was reading it. I don't even think it's that long, but it really packed a punch and an impact on me. This was the first young adult contemporary that I read that did a phenomenal job at balancing real life serious issues and topics, but also had an enjoyable fun element that kept the story interesting and light, but also provided that depth that you don't always get when you're reading a contemporary. I love all the places that they traveled to in this novel. Morgan actually took the same route that the characters take in the story, so she actually did travel across country. And there are lots of pictures and notes and receipts and all kinds of things sprinkled throughout the novel, so it gives you this very tangible essence of the road trip and the places that she went. There are actual places that I will be visiting based on reading about them in this novel, and it's so crazy to have gotten this idea and been influenced by a body of work. So that really to me shows the impact that the story has had. This is always a novel that when I'm thinking about books that I want to reread, that pops into my head. So yes, Amy and Rodgers' Epic Detour, one of my absolute favorites. The next book I want to talk about is the only one that I don't own a physical copy of, but this is one that I listened to on audio and I absolutely loved, and that is Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda by Becky Albertalli. This book follows the main character, Simon, who is secretly gay. He has been chatting online with another person that goes to his school who is also secretly gay as well. They've developed this relationship online. Simon uses this email and this online space to really chat with this individual about his life and what he has going on. Someone finds out about these emails and Simon essentially has to decide what he wants to do because the person is threatening to out him. I first started listening to this audiobook, I didn't really have any expectations. I know a lot of people had really enjoyed it, but I usually don't listen to contemporary books on audio that much. But I immediately fell in love with it. This story has all the elements that I like in a YA contemporary. Number one, the family dynamics in this one was phenomenal. The interesting and intertwined relationships that Simon had with his parents and his siblings, it just was so realistic. The conversations that they had, some of the conflict that they had, some issues that they needed to divulge, and I just really connected with that aspect aspect. I found Simon's life to be really well-rounded. There's a good mixture of him trying to balance out his personal life, his family life, and his social life. You get to see Simon really come out of his shell and try some new experiences. You get to see conflict within his friend group when new friends are introduced and how that plays into the current dynamics of friends that he's had for a long time. I love all of the side characters in the story. I love all of the side stories in this novel. Every aspect of it was just a breath of fresh air. This book has so many great quotes. Conversations that Simon had were amazing. I think Becky Albertalli has a really good YA writing voice. I can't wait to read more work from her. I really loved this one. The next book that I want to talk about is The Sun is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. I really love Nicola Yoon's work because her books are easy for me to inhale read. I read it in like one sitting. It stuck with me and it was still able to pack a punch. This is a dual perspective and it follows Natasha and Daniel, and the book takes place over the course of one day. Natasha is found out that she's just about to be deported, and then Daniel also has his own personal family issues going on, and it's really a turn of tide for both of these characters because he's trying to make big life decisions and Natasha's life is about to change in a major way, and they're both trying to navigate that. The main thing I really loved about this story is Nicola Yoon adds this element of how everything that you do is interconnected. So you get all of these random perspectives from characters who are seemingly non-essential. So it might be the bellhop at a building or a lawyer. You just kind of see how basically everyone is connected, and I just felt like that was such an interesting perspective to take, especially in the middle of what is essentially a YA romance story. The story takes place in one day, yet you get this perspective. Natasha's Jamaican, you get this sense of Daniel's culture, who is Asian American, and just how those two come together. And I'm just trying to figure out how Nicola Yoon wrapped all of this up in a novel that takes place in one day. And not only that, but the film is coming out really soon, and my girl Yara is playing Natasha, and I cannot wait. And I also really like the way that this novel ends. It just was such a realistic ending. It also left you thinking about a lot about how important the interactions you have with other people are. Everything comes full circle. Once again, one of my favorites. So the next book is one that I've talked about on this channel so much. Y'all are gonna be like, seriously, Kashawn, again? But like I said, all time young adult contemporary favorites, and that of course is The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. I've done a review on this. I've talked about it in recent videos. I've talked about this book so much. You guys already know that I know and love it. And of course, for those who don't know, this book follows Star after she witnesses the police gun down her childhood best friend. It has a heavy focus on the Black Lives Matter movement, but this also has very strong family themes as well, and community themes, and self-identity themes. It just rounds up so many things that I like in my contemporary. I love Star as a character. I love seeing her character development. I really loved her family aspects in this. I found it to be so incredibly relatable, especially when she talks about code switching. There are just so many great gems in this book. I loved this. I loved the movie. I just personally connected with it so much. Angie Thomas, what can I say? Next one is another one that I mentioned on this channel a lot. To All the Boys I Loved Before, Trilogy by Jenny Han. Jenny Han, I have such a visceral love for her and her work, especially this trilogy. I did not know when I started reading this how much I was going to love it, and I still to this day just don't even know if I can put my finger on why I love these so much. It follows the main character, Laura Jean, who has written all of these love letters to her past loves. That's her way of getting over them. So once she writes the letter, she just puts it in the box, files it away. She never thinks about it again. However, somehow all of her letters end up getting sent out. She has to deal with the aftermath of that. Laura Jean has some of the best YA character development that I have seen in the novel, and I really love her sister relationships. She has a younger sister and an older sister. First of all, I don't think I read that many novels where it focuses on like the middle child, so I love that. And I think that I really like Laura Jean's personality. Laura Jean is known for being like a homebody. She loves to bake and cook. She likes watching old classic movies. Her character is very quirky, but she also has this really cute fashion sense. There's just something that I find different about her from other YA main characters that I've read about. And not only that, but these novels are funny. I was laughing so hard on some of these situations that Laura Jean got herself into, and I grew to love the series more over time. It was just a satisfying feeling, such a feel-good book. I really love this trilogy, and this trilogy just has a special place in my heart. The last book series that I want to talk about for my favorite YA contemporaries is an oldie, but the one that basically started it all. This was my first favorite YA contemporary, period. I read these books years and years ago. These are a lot heavier topics, and that trilogy is the Hazelwood High Trilogy by Sharon M. Draper. I could do a whole video on Sharon M. Draper and how she shaped like my early reading. I read me some Sharon M. Draper down. These books, Tears of a Tiger, Forged by Fire, and Darkness Before Dawn. Tears of a Tiger follows a main character who is dealing with the death of his best friend. He is really feeling guilty because he has essentially survivor's syndrome. This was so heavy, and these books are not that long, but when I tell you they pack a punch, they really do. These books all deal with very heavy topics. This was the first time I ever really read anything like this. It was mind-blowing, eye-opening, and life-changing. I thought about these books a lot once I would finish reading them. Like, I would read them and then I would really sit there and think about it. Forged by Fire follows another character at that same school, and this one deals heavily with abuse, especially abuse at the hands of a parent. Last book follows one of the female characters at this high school as well, and this one deals with sexual assault. Sharon M. Draper really has a way of getting you inside these characters' heads to really put into perspective what it's like for these teens to be going through some of these things. These are books that really shaped narrative I saw, kind of put things in perspective for me at such a young and early age. You really feel these characters' pain. You really feel what they are going through. It really hits you in the gut. So those are my favorite young adult contemporary books of all time. What are some of your favorite young adult contemporary books? Leave those down in the comment section below because I really want to know. Are there any other favorites videos that you guys would like to see? Let me know down below. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at theBookArcher, and I will see you guys in another video tomorrow. Bye!